Welcome to Middle Class Matters Business News in English from Dr. CMA Allegation. Democratic backsliding in the world's largest democracy, that is in India, on the election manipulation, part number 6. 6.2 Turnout manipulation, EVM turnout data discrepancy. I complete the two different EVM turnout figures described in section 3 for the 373 parliamentary constituencies covered in the first four phases of election. In 64% of parliamentary constituencies, the turnout was revised up, and in the rest of the cases, it was revised down. I compute the absolute difference in vote tallies between the two reports. While the median difference is 358, the 90th and 95th percentiles of the differences are 3302 and 7357 respectively. The largest mismatch is of 57,747 votes in the Gautam Buddha Nagar constituency in Uttar Pradesh. I define a dummy variable called large turnout discrepancy. It takes value of 1 if the absolute discrepancy is larger than the 95th percentile and 0 otherwise. If the mismatch occurred due to some administrative errors or glitches in the EVM, then we expect the large discrepancies to be randomly spread across parliamentary constituencies with different BJP win margins. Figure 3a plots the relationship between the dummy variable and BJP win margin separately on the two sides of the threshold value of 0. I find that the probability of large discrepancy jumps significantly at 0. The estimate of the jump using the method proposed by Colonio is 0.26, p-value of 0.008, implying that conditional on close election, the parliamentary constituencies that BJP barely won have 26 percentage point larger likelihood of having a large mismatch than parliamentary constituencies that BJP barely lost. This is a large effect considering the average value of the dummy variable by construction is 0.05. The result implies that the sample of closely contested constituencies that were disproportionately won by BJP also has a disproportionately higher likelihood of large turnout revision. If the failure of MEC array test demonstrated in the previous section involved manipulation of turnout figures, then we should expect this pattern. Figure 3b plots the same graph directly using the absolute turnout discrepancy in thousands and finds a similar pattern, though with a noisier estimate. The estimate of the discontinuity is 5.7, p-value of 0.09. Hence, the result is consistent with the manipulation hypothesis. Moreover, it is not obvious why precise control would lead to a larger turnout revision by the Election Commission of India in the closely contested constituencies won by the BJP. BJP versus BJP non-BJP ruled states. Similar to the previous section, I test for heterogeneity across BJP and non-BJP ruled states. Table 5 reports the RDD estimates for the two subsamples for both outcome variables. We observe in panel A that the jump in the probability of large discrepancy is statistically significant and large in magnitude for BJP ruled states, while it is statistically insignificant and smaller in magnitude in non BJP ruled states. The estimated jump in column 1 is 0.45 and the value just to be of left of threshold is close to 0. That is, likelihood of large discrepancy in the parliamentary constituency barely won by the BJP is 9 times higher than what it would be under the random chance scenario. It is on the other hand 3 times higher for non-BJP ruled states. The results in panel B are similar. While the estimated jump is absolute, in absolute discrepancy is more than 15,000 votes, statistically significant at 5% in BJP ruled states. It is minus 430, statistically insignificant in non-BJP ruled states. The difference between the coefficients in panel A is not statistically significant, but in panel B it is significant at 5%. Discontinuity in turnout difference. Appendix Figure A6 shows discontinuity in turnout difference at the BJP win margin threshold of 0 for past general elections. Turnout difference for the parliamentary constituency in a general election is the difference between its turnout rates in the current and previous elections. We observe that the discontinuity is positive and statistically significant for 2019. The discontinuity estimate is 0.03, p-value 0.05. For previous election going back to 1989, the discontinuity estimates are statistically insignificant. This is consistent with the result that turnout data discrepancy went up in parliamentary constituency barely won by BJP. Interpretation. It would be inappropriate to treat the data revision as aggregation fraud. Cullen and Long 2015. One where higher level ECI officials directly engaged in turnout manipulation while aggregating turnout data from polling station level results. Such acts by the ECI is unlikely. Moreover, in all cases barring one, the revision is not larger than the win margin. Rather, the revisions are likely indicative of possible manipulation committed locally at the polling stations. The local manipulations could either be at the time of voting or counting. Most electoral frauds are decentralized in nature, as Redalnet Savik point out. The analysis in the following section suggests that it was at least partly facilitated by weaker monitoring during counting, while the next section provides evidence that local manipulation may explain part of the observed turnout manipulation. 6.3 Counting Manipulation Assignment of Counting Observers. I examine assignment of counting observers in the parliamentary constituencies across the BJP win margin threshold. All counting observers are assigned to a state different from their office state and home state as defined in section 3. 36% of observers are from home state cadre. The SCS officers typically work in lower ranked positions in a state bureaucracy as compared to the IAS officers with same experience. Iyer and Money 2012. They are also more likely to be politically pliable by the state government since they are appointed by them as to the IAS officers who are appointed by the central government. I compute the fraction of counting observers in a parliamentary constituency who come from the SCS cadre. About 50% of PCs have at least one SCS observer assigned. Since I know the office state of each observer, I also compute the fraction of observers who are SCS and work in a BJP ruled state. The mean fraction is 0.13. Table 6, column 1 and 4 report the estimates of discontinuity in the two outcomes variables at the BJP win margin threshold of 0. In both cases, we find that RDD estimate is positive, minus 0.24 and 0.22 respectively. They are large in magnitude and statistically significant at 5%. Column 2 and 5 report the results for BJP ruled states and column 3 and 6 for non-BJP ruled states. All coefficients are positive and 3 out of 4 coefficients are statistically significant. Coefficients for BJP ruled states are larger in magnitude, specifically for the fraction of observers who are SCS and come from BJP ruled states. The coefficient is 0.37 and is statistically significant at 1% for BJP ruled states, but is 0.17 and statistically insignificant for non-BJP ruled states. the RDT graphs for the four cases. The results indicate that more politically pliant counting observers were assigned in parliamentary constituency barely won by BJP, and pattern is concentrated in BJP ruled states. I agree. I regress the absolute data discrepancy in turnout and indicator for larger turnout discrepancy computed in section 6.2 above on the fraction of counting observers who are SCS and from BJP ruled states and whether BJP won the parliamentary constituency and their interaction. I include all the parliamentary constituencies in the sample to check whether in the full sample assignment of politically pliant observers is correlated with data discrepancy. Appendix Table 6A6 reports the results. I find that in parliamentary constituencies that BJP lost, the relationship between the data discrepancy and the fraction of SCS observers from BJP ruled states is negative. However, in PCs that BJP won, the relationship turns positive for both outcomes. For the absolute discrepancy measure, the relationship is statistically insignificant at p-value 0.104, while for the large discrepancy indicator, the relationship is statistically significant at 5%, p-value 0.041. This suggests that greater presence of politically pliant counting observers in parliamentary constituencies barely won by BJP may have partly contributed towards discrepancy in turnout data. 6.4 Irregularities in polling station outcomes. This section examines irregularities in polling station level election results for 2019 from 22 major states of India. For each polling station, the data provide information on the total turnout and candidate-wise vote tallies. The data do not mention the number of electorates at the polling station level. If the turnout discrepancy discussed above electorally benefited the incumbent party, then we should expect it to be reflected in the vote share across polling stations. To examine this, I compute vote share of BJP in each vote polling station in constituencies with a BJP candidate. To make polling station level BJP vote share comparable across parliamentary constituency, I then compute the relative vote share of BJP in each polling station in each parliamentary constituency. Relative BJP vote share equal to BJP vote share JP divided by BJP vote share P, where BJP vote share is BJP's vote share in a polling station and BJP vote share in P is its vote share in the entire constituency that the polling station belongs to. I use the revised turnout figures to calculate vote shares as that is the official data on turnout and are available for all parliamentary constituencies. Hence, relative BJP vote share captures the party's vote share in a polling station relative to its vote share in the constituency. If its value is greater than 1, then in the polling station BJP's vote share is higher than that in the constituency. The average value of relative BJP vote share should be approximately 1. Figure 4a plots for the states ruled by BJP the local polynomial relationship between the relative BJP vote share and turnout at polling station level in closely contested constituencies, that is, the constituencies where BJP's win margin was less than 0.16. That is the optimal bandwidth for McCarry test performed in figure 1a. I estimate it separately for parliamentary constituencies where BJP won and lost, depicted by the solid and dashed lines respectively. For comparison, figure 4b plots the same graph for states not ruled by BJP. Figure 4a shows that in both types of constituencies, the estimated relationship hovers around for polling stations with turnout 800 or below. In polling stations with higher turnout, relative BJP vote share spikes in constituencies where BJP won and falls in constituencies where BJP lost. In figure 4b, we do not see such striking pattern. Please like the video, please subscribe to the channel, please share the video to disseminate information on our elections, at least among the educated electorates. Thanks for watching.